Welcome back. As you have probably noticed, our base looks like a total mess. That's mostly due to us trying to reduce resource usage and keep the efficiency high. So I think it is a good time to rethink and rebuild part of our base. But, before being able to do that, I think we should get at least some more Tier 3 circuits to help us with this project. We shall start by completing our oil setup. We first take out all of the fluids from the distillation tower. Then we move all the sulfuric ones to the oil cleaner. The lubricant goes into a dedicated tank. Propane and butane go to a line of excess burnable gas that we'll address later. Next we filter the outputs of the oil cleaner, keep a drum of each one and send the rest to the cracking tower. We shall also have a line for the excess burnable fuels. Then we filter and take out the gases from the cracking tower. The liquids are feed back inside. Later on we are going to decide how to deal with the methane and the excess plastic gases. By the way, we cannot power our base on benzene here. We can't burn it at all. Or at least NEI says so. Anyways, we can now fire up the distillation tower, clean its outputs and start filling up the drums. However, producing so much heat out of creosote oil emptied our tank. So we started burning raw light oil in its place. It is not an efficient way of using oil, but it's a quick dirty fix to our current setup. Also it still burns 10 times as much as creosote. Once we have enough fluids stocked up, we can start our cracking tower and finally get a decent amount of benzene. We carefully use that to finish the batch of epoxy we were working on some times ago, and we finally have enough for completing the quest. Next we do some polyethylene so that close one more quest. And finally, we complete the circuit Tier 3-1. We are going to use them for an HV battery buffer. As for the batteries, we are still not capable of making the lithium ones that can hold 64 times as much as a lead battery because these require Tier 6 circuits as a BMS. However, we can make alkaline ones that can hold twice as much as the lead version. Also, for making an HV transformer we are going to require annealed copper. To make it, we have to heat copper really close to its boiling point. So we have to be really careful. Now we have almost everything, we only lack pipes, which we can get from our old setup. We are also chopping down everything steam related and recycling everything. To recycle machines, we can either shred them or, a faster way, melt them down. Now let's start building our new power plant. Here we have the 2 pipes with the excess gases from our oil refinery. We are burning them to charge up our batteries. We have to match every range of RU and EU to HV. Next, to reduce power loss and cable thickness, we are stepping the voltage up to EV. However, EV is not a range and the transformer, sometimes, sends packets slightly bigger than 2048. So aluminium cables won't do it. We are going to use platinum cables that can handle some tiers above that. We could have used some weird 4K voltage ones also. Before moving back to our base, to make even more power, we have an array of strong boilers that make up to 1500 steam per tick. We are feeding that to our old titanium turbine to spin it at maximum speed, almost 512 RU, just enough for powering our HV dynamo. We have a complex security system this time. We wait for the system to start up before connecting it. By the way, we are now burning charcoal and creosote from our array of reused coke ovens. Now that the boilers reached temperature and the turbine is starting to spin, we can see our new system. The dynamo is currently outputting 307 EU per tick, barely enough to be accepted by the HV battery buffer. If it falls below 256, the voltage will be too low to charge the batteries and thus it will be wasted fuel. So we are going to shut everything down when the current flow goes below 290 EU per tick. After mitigating and stabilizing it with the batteries, we take the high voltage into our base and use it for charging up our old MV workshop. The next thing we are going to waste power on is our crucible. I have already explained how terribly inefficient it is to do it that way, but now we can afford it. So we have this cool setup where we set the temperature we want our crucible to be kept at and we no longer have to worry about stuff boiling or exploding. We can also attach a selector cover to fine-tune how much power we want to go into our crucible. Next we shall electrify our extruder laminator setup and upgrade our crafting bench to charging bench. Finally, we shall electrify our ore processing plant. It is less efficient, but there are no more burning boxes, steam pipes and machines wasting power while waiting for other slower parts of the chain. Next, it might be too early for that, but we can also electrify our big crucible. Now it will work faster and better. However, that dried out our batteries quickly. So we repurposed our old dense chromium with a tank of oil to preheating our big crucible. And, once we reach steel making temperature, we turn on our new HV engine to make steel super fast. While the crucible is still hot, we also throw in all of our old small bronze machinery to recycle them. And we shall also help the crucible extract the stuff so that we can quickly expand our power room. We have a Mangalium turbine whose RU range aligns with the HV dynamo and thus we can make this system work with more power ranges and better consume the products of our farm. We could also have used a multi-block boiler, but it would have costed more iron and I think this setup looks better. Moving on, we should probably try to do some more progress. So, let's see what main quests we miss in the electric age. One is making red alloy boules, which looks super easy. We only have to be careful not to use the 10 hours recipe. Anyways, we shred some old red alloy scraps. Then make some new red alloy, take it with our pot and run to the crystallization crucible. And realize we needed redstone alloy, not red alloy. Fear not, we only have to combine silicon with redstone. We take out in liquid form just the required amount. Give it a little bit of time for the rest to cool down. Take our old trusty uranium shovel and take out the remaining stuff. Shred it and it's done. Next we need some noble gas. Since we do not want to risk wasting it, we take our barometer measurement cylinder and move just the right amount for the recipe. Now, while we wait 1 hour, we can do the other main quest, tungsten. And here we have our chain of machinery that extracts it from the impure mineral dusts. During the time we built it, we have also completed the other quest. And I think this is a good point for closing this episode. Next time we'll enter the semiconductor industry age.